The show. I'm Helen Farmer, and it's a very special Farmer's Kitchen Live. It's the last Friday of the month, which means we're out of the studio. And here at the Spinneys Meydan HQ in the test kitchen with an incredible guest. I'm so excited to introduce you to Chef Kelvin of Cheung's. We are going to be making not one, not two, but three dishes. Is that right, Chef?
Three useful things in the kitchen.
We've got hacks, we've got gadgets. We are going to be transforming some incredible ingredients right in front of me into things that you like to have in your toolkit, in your back pocket. Not only that, we are going to be in conversation with Chef Davis Munoz. He is a superstar. He's coming right here as well. We're going to be talking about how to improve your relationship with food. We've got Laura Coughlin rounding up the latest food news and finding out about a place that's opened in Dubai recently that has got it all for families. It has got soft play and a bar. Plus, if you tune into YouTube, you can watch us right here. You could be winning all of the incredible ingredients from Spinneys in front of me. So yes, you can listen on Dubai Eye 103.8, but I urge you to head over to the Dubai Eye YouTube channel to see what's happening on the kitchens, telling you how to win in just a few minutes. Heading over to the headlines now. So Chef, the radio listeners have gone, but our viewers are here. It's a very, very spicy afternoon we've got going on. I've got a confession for you. Whenever I go to a restaurant and they ask me about spice levels, my response is, white girl spicy, please. So tell us a little bit about the curry today.
So this is something that my mother used to make for us every Sunday. It was one of her main repertoire weapons that she would use. I think every household has their Sunday gravy, Sunday roast, Sunday kind of special. And in our house, because Sundays were probably the busiest day in our restaurant, this would be something she would start late Saturday night and finish off in the morning before she would head to the restaurant.
Smart.
And it would be just a vat of this beautiful
just goodness
chicken, and we'd eat it.
Can we just quickly talk about your heritage and how some of the key ingredients and flavors are coming together in this pot? So where did you grow up and what's the family heritage?
So born in Toronto, grew up in Chicago, moved around quite a bit, but my father's from Hong Kong, I'm from Singapore. So our daily kind of meals were still very Chinese, Asian forward. And we kind of, as we grew older, we kind of became brats and started nagging and asking for, Canadian food.
Oh, really? And what did they give you then?
It was quite interesting because you would think kids who grew up in North America would grow up eating the normal sandwiches and whatever, but it was pretty late before we were introduced to all this kind of stuff. We were mind blown when my sister in grade 7, she attempted to make lasagna for the first time, and that was our first experience with it. It was really, really far on. So our experience and our relationships with food are very different from, I think, other kids.
But that's a credit to your parents, I think. I mean, Hong Kong and Singapore are two amazing, amazing foodie cities. So we are cooking today with some beautiful Spinneys fresh chicken. We've got an organic free-range chicken that we're going to be cooking with. We've also got this fresh chicken here. And you've got a bit of a spoiler alert there because what's in that jug?
So here is something that we keep in our house every day. We usually have kind of like a crock pot-ish sort of situation where we keep bone broth in our household every day, 7 days a week.
So we're going to be exploring that a little bit further because I know an awful lot of people are a bit sick right now and the kids are sick, and which feels weird to have a cold when it's 45 degrees outside, but the struggle is real. But here's my question to you. What are we doing first?
So this is something that we keep in our house.
So we start with the broth.
Yeah, because this is something that I pretty much do a couple times a week. After having the restaurant for a couple of years, not working out, getting pretty unhealthy, and trying to now just clean up since it's summertime and we figure things are slowing down. It's a little bit easier. I roast whole chickens or chicken legs or chicken thighs a couple times a week, and I'll generally do big batches of it. So when I do our chickens, I'll roast 4 chickens at a time.
Wow.
As soon as it's cooked, I pull the meat and I save the bones. And this is where the bone broth comes in. All the bones, all the trim, all the vegetable ends and odds and ends that you always end up with in your fridge, they all go straight into our pot. And that's what we make the bone broth with.
So this is the NutriCook right here. We're going to unpack this a little bit more. We've got a few seconds before we're back on the radio. But for those of you who are watching on our YouTube channel, we have got a competition just for you. You could be winning all of the amazing ingredients that Chef Kelvin is working with today. All I want to know from you is, what is your payday treat? I know a lot of people at the end of the month, you've hopefully got your salary landing in your account. Tell me in the comments, what is your payday treat in the supermarket? And you could be winning all of these ingredients. So keep those questions coming in. Chef Kelvin is with us all the way through until 3 o'clock. So if you've got any questions for him about what we're cooking, this is your chance. We're coming back live onto the radio, and then we're going to have a quick recap about this broth. It smells great to have you with us. We are live on your radio, of course, as ever on a Friday afternoon. It's Helen Farm with you for Farmer's Kitchen. But we're actually cooking today in the Spinneys Meydan HQ. This is the test kitchen. So as you will have seen, they have got Spinneys cafes and food halls around the UAE and beyond now. So this is where chefs come together to create, to try, to test, think about how could this work on a bigger scale. And it's also where we take over every single Friday afternoon and invite our very own favourite chefs to come in and cook for you. So you can listen, of course, as many of you are, on the Dubai Eye radio, but I would urge you, hop on over to our YouTube channel, Dubai Eye 1038 FM, and you can watch what's happening. Chef Kelvin Cheung is with us today from Jun's, and we are making, not one, not two, but 3 dishes. We are making his mum's Sunday chicken curry. We're just about to get a bone broth going as well. And if you, like me, love an air fryer, stay with us. We've got some great tips. Not only by watching, you might see a few bloopers as well. Those of you who are on the YouTube channel can also win. We've selected some gorgeous ingredients from Spinneys. We've got spices, we've got oils, we've got, of course, this beautiful chicken as well. You could be winning all of these ingredients delivered to your door, so you can make it yourself. So here's what I want to know from you. Get into the comments. You can send any questions in, of course, for me and Kelvin, but to win this prize, and this is only on the YouTube, by the way, tell me, many of us, hopefully, have been paid. It's the end of the month. When you've been paid and you go to the supermarket, what's your payday treat? What do you find yourself putting into the basket when other times of the month you might be like, oh, I can't really justify it. I went to Spinneys this morning and it was all the frozen berries. I was like, frozen cherries, frozen blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, because then I've got smoothies sorted the rest of the month. Chef Calvin, what about you? And we should say you're a little bit different because you've got amazing access to ingredients all month long. But is there anything you're like, oh, I'm going to treat myself?
To be honest, we do like to splurge when we head out to the fresh fruit and vegetable souk and market. I think that's a great tip for a lot of our Dubai residents. If you're ever in need of a easy access to pristine, good quality vegetables and fruits that are pretty much restaurant quality, that's where we buy most of our stuff is.
Industry
head over.
Insider.
Yeah. You just go and you'll walk into their walk-in and you'll find anything that you want from all over the world.
Chef Kelvin is with us today. As I said, we're starting with the broth. Loads of people, including my kids, are sick right now. So we're making a broth that you say you have kind of on the boil pretty much all the time. Mm-hmm. You've just kind of jointed some chicken here. What have you been massaging into it, Chef?
So this, I just put a little bit of high smoke oil, so any neutral oil. And depending on your family, depending on what your kids' partners like to eat, feel free to season it as much as you want or not. In our house, generally at home, we tend to eat a little bit cleaner. So we avoid too much sodium, anything too overly processed and such. So whenever we do this kind of broth, we roast the chicken pretty plainly. So this is just some oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, and we'll just cook it fully all the way.
So this has gone into an air fryer, but I can honestly say, for those of you watching on YouTube, you'll see it. Probably one of the fanciest air fryers I've ever seen. Mine, we got ours for that reason, for kind of health reasons, that we didn't want to be using too much oil. We were cooking, but actually it's become a go-to for a lot of things. Heating up pizza, just saying. Tell us a little bit about what you use yours for at home. We've got chicken going on today, but what other things do you use in your air fryer for?
We are air fryer and smart pot obsessed.
Are you really?
Yeah, it's on all day, all morning, all night. I've noticed that things like the air fryer, especially for vegetables, work great, especially if you have little ones at home. It's a little bit fussier. And for them, I'm able to control the amount of extra stuff that I'm putting onto the vegetables. Mm-hmm. So whether it be just some crispy potatoes, some charred carrots, some carrot fries, sweet potato fries. Last minute, it takes a couple minutes. There's less to clean up. Just chop, cut, throw it in there. And it takes, it's a no-brainer, right?
So our chicken is air frying. Can I ask what setting you've put this on, just for anyone who wants to be cooking along?
So generally, whenever I do chicken in the air fryer, I'll put it skin side down for the first couple of minutes, whether it be a whole chicken, whether it be the legs, whatever it may be. And then I'll give it a couple of minutes at 200, 210, just to kind of sear the outsides. After a couple of minutes, I'll flip it. We'll turn it down to about 180, 185. And depending if it's a whole chickens take anywhere from 20 to 24 minutes, depending on the size. These are just legs that I cut so that it'll be a little faster for us. This will probably take around 15 minutes. It would be good.
Are you going to be using meat thermometers or you? No, he knows it. He's too good. I would use a meat thermometer. Chef Kelvin, we're making the broth right now.
Yes.
What else is going in there? Because something already smells amazing.
So this is what I'm going to show you. As we're prepping for our curry, like for example, a carrot, you're going to have carrot peels. You're going to have the top. You'll probably have some bottoms. Even when you cut your onions and garlic, you have all these odds and ends. And why throw them away? So all of this will end up in our pot. And
so literally just the tops of carrots.
Anything.
Peels,
as long as it's washed cleanly and it's a better quality vegetable, that's the perfect way to not have any waste. Wow. So we'll just peel them and then that'll go in. Just make sure you wash them well and toss it all in.
Right, you're going to do some chopping. I'm going to do some questions because I need to know a little bit more about you. So as you said, born in Toronto. I used to live in Toronto, one of the best foodie cities.
Love it. It's one of the best places in the world.
I never did winter there. That's probably why I liked it. And then Chicago, but Hong Kong, Singaporean family. But you was a restaurant. You grew up around restaurants, right? Tell us a little bit about what was being served and who was cooking.
So it was a family-run business. My father's first restaurant, he opened in 1969. My mother and father kind of ran the whole restaurants by themselves, and the chef was my grandmother.
No way. What was her name?
Kitty.
Kitty.
Of all the names, she decided that she wanted to be called Kitty.
That's
I think when she was immigrating over, she saw a bunch of the Hello Kitty dolls and such, and I think that's where she got inspiration from. And she decided she wanted to be called Kitty.
I love grandmother Kitty. And what was she like?
She's one of the most amazing people that I think anyone's encountered. She had a nickname for being called the Laughing Lady because she would be sitting in the corner of every one of our restaurants, and you could hear her like bellowing just this cheerful laugh as you entered the restaurant. So everybody knew her because she was just always in the corner and just laughing. Because at a certain point, once my dad became established enough, obviously she didn't want her working as hard, so she wasn't cooking as much.
So how was she at delegating and sharing her skills? Did she rule with an iron fist?
Till date, there's only one copy of her recipes. Till date, I do not have these recipes.
No.
Till date, my aunt in Toronto, someone can connect to her.
We will send this. What's her name?
Auntie Jean.
Auntie Jean?
She has a restaurant in the suburbs of Toronto. And she's
protecting this.
She has this holy book.
Okay.
And I've asked multiple times for it.
Do you think it could be yours next? Kitty's legacy?
I might have to go ninja my way in and just like...
Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
So what was she making? What did you grow up eating then as a result of the restaurant?
So she took a lot of recipes from my grandfather's restaurants and my great-grandfather's restaurants in Hong Kong and brought them over. Yet she managed, even at those times in the late 60s and 70s, she began modernizing and cleaning up those kind of flavor profiles. I think she wanted to make it a little bit more approachable for the North Americans. So it was quite interesting, but it was still very classic Hong Kong Cantonese style kind of food.
Such as what? Make us hungry.
So the majority of my dad's restaurants in the daytime were dim sum restaurants. So everything was small dumplings and such. And then at night, it was that really comfort food. A lot of fresh seafood. A lot of like slow cooking braised items, and it was a fun sort of place because it was one of the firsts in Toronto that served that kind of cuisine, and my dad kind of took that on as a challenge. So every new restaurant that he opened, he was one of the firsts for everything. So he was the one who brought abalone and bird's nest and all these kind of like really intricate old school Hong Kong recipes to Toronto.
And when did you decide then that this was not just a restaurant for your parents and grandmother, but maybe you wanted to get in the kitchens as well?
That was not a pleasant kind of conversation.
Really?
We were the first generation kind of immigrant kids, the next generation. And generally, these immigrant families the parents have that dream,
The aspirations.
Yeah, I mean, we kill ourselves. We work hundreds and hundreds of hours so that our kids don't have to. So they have access to modern education and opportunities elsewhere. And so the kids become professionals. And that's always the dream, right?
But isn't that interesting to think how much that perception of being a chef has changed in the last few decades?
It's changing, I would say. I think
a lot of it's cultural, then.
It's very cultural. I think in a lot of where I grew, like where my family grew up and such, it's still kind of frowned upon as not a professional kind of job.
So in a parallel universe, Chef Kelvin, well, what do you think you would be had you followed those aspirations?
Oh, for sure. I would be Dr. Kelvin Cheung.
I could see you doing that.
Biology degree. I
too late.
was in med school.
You even went to med school.
Started it.
And then what was that conversation about leaving it?
I just got bored.
I want to dissect something else.
Yeah.
In the kitchen.
Yeah, I'm still cutting meat. You know?
Yeah,
like
exactly. Same.
But my parents were not happy. My dad was not happy. And we had that conversation. He was just like, I need you to understand what you're getting yourself into. It's like, you've done this at that point, I've already been cooking and working in my father's restaurant since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, look at our relationship. And I was like, okay, I get it. Because if you're in a restaurant family, I barely knew my father until I started working in the restaurant.
Because that was the contact time. That was face to face.
And even then, it was in a very work sort of situation.
Mm-hmm. We should say that you're a father yourself now. But,
yes.
Again, the conversation around being an active parent has also changed a lot in the last few decades.
Again, we try to learn from what our parents have done because they did their best.
Of course.
And it's our duty as parents now to kind of do our best, but hopefully to end that kind of cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying now to
we're going to talk about your son soon because he's a real source of inspiration, including the broth that we're making today, Bodhi's, and Bodhi boxes as well. So, Chef, looks like we're starting the curry.
Yes.
So we are going to head to a quick break on the radio, but do head over to our YouTube channel where you can watch what's happening. I wish we could do smell-o-vision because it already smells absolutely amazing. Chef Kelvin with us from Jun's as we make his mum's Sunday chicken curry, a broth, and we've got some air fryer tips and tricks coming your way soon. So, Chef, we have jointed some chicken, more chicken.
Yes.
And what spices are you putting in?
So this is kind of a very general, almost it's more of a Singaporean style curry.
Okay.
Feel free to use, again, whatever spices that you have available in your house, whatever spices that your family prefers. But this is just a general recipe. So we're just putting a little bit of coriander, cumin, turmeric, chili powder, paprika, a little bit of salt and pepper. And ideally, if you do have time, try to marinate this at least a couple hours ahead of time, if not the night before.
And when you say marinate, would you put it back into the fridge or would you have it out on the counter?
Best way to do it, toss it in a Ziploc bag, throw it all together, give it a quick shake, and then you're good to go.
Paul is with us from Spinneys, the man responsible for
How are you?
Beautiful chicken. Nice to see you.
Yes, you too.
So you are category manager of Fresh, and I think it's safe to say this is very fresh indeed.
Yes.
Beautiful ingredients downstairs. I mean, I never said this before, the Maidan store is my favorite. It's so beautifully laid out. You've got the butcher, you've got charcuterie, and we're cooking with a couple of different kind of chicken options today. We've got some air frying, and we've got this chicken curry that we've just started now. Tell us a little bit about where the chickens come from.
So today we're using the free-range and organic Spinneys food chicken. And this chicken comes from northwest Spain in an area called Galicia. Now, what's fantastic about this is that for anyone that's ever been to Galicia, will understand how wet it can get in Galicia.
Really?
Yes. I went one day years and years ago and it didn't stop raining. But it also has fantastic warm temperatures, which is fantastic farming land and is a huge part of Spain's agricultural land. So our chickens come all from small, trusted family-run farms.
I'm trying so hard to not make a joke about chickens with Spanish accent.
Yeah. So and they're reared there, and it's fantastic farmland for the chicken, and it's a real kind of natural environment for the chickens as well.
So, Paul, we're going to be back on the radio just in a few seconds, so we might have a little recap on that. Chef, you've just been checking the air fryer. How's it looking in there?
I just flipped it, so it's probably about 40% cooked now. Now we just turn it back up a little bit, and the skin will get nice and crispy for you.
Ooh.
Super easy, super simple.
Okay, we're coming back on the radio. For those of you on YouTube, don't forget, get your questions, your comments in for Chef Kelvin. You can also tell me your supermarket payday treat to win all of these ingredients. If you are listening on your radio, it's great to have you with us. But you can, of course, watch as well. So Dubai I103.8 on YouTube and, of course, on your radio. If you are watching, get into the comments. Tell me, because hopefully you have been paid, what's your supermarket payday treat? For Chef Kelvin, it's lots of fresh produce. For me, it's frozen berries, maybe a bunch of flowers in a magazine. I don't know when magazines got so expensive, but it does feel like a splurge. If you tell us that in the comments, you could be winning all of the ingredients that we are cooking with today. And joining us now from Spinneys, Paul Crawford's with us today. He is the category manager of Fresh, which is definitely the chicken we are cooking with today. So Chef is going to just been checking on it in the air fryer. We've just been using, it smells amazing, putting some beautiful spices on some jointed chicken, and that's going into a casserole dish that's on the top of the hob. So Paul, it's Spanish chicken from... Tell me
Galicia.
Galicia.
Yeah.
I never learned Spanish. I learned Spanish for like a month, and I can
really?
say tengo 13 años, which means I am 13 years old.
Very good.
That's it. That's the extent of it. So have you been to this farm then yourself?
Not myself, but part of our team has been there. I'll be visiting in November of this year.
Fantastic. So tell us again, for those who are listening on the radio, we just talked about it on YouTube. Tell us about the growing and the farming conditions in this part of Spain in particular. What makes it such a great spot?
Yeah, so what's fantastic about Galicia, and I was saying earlier that I've visited Galicia once in my life, and it did not stop raining for the full day.
The rain in Spain.
Yeah, the rain
in Galicia.
So in Galicia, they have a high amount of rainfall, but also benefit from high temperatures. And those two combined make an amazing area for farmland and for the chicken to forage.
A foraging chicken.
Yeah, it's amazing.
How very Copenhagen of them.
The free range and organic chicken, they're allowed to roam outside, and they forage on natural grasses, insects, and it's just a really natural environment for the chicken to be reared on.
That's interesting. So we've spoken before about lamb and how the flavour profile can change depending on the season and what what the lamb is consuming. Whether they're eating herbs or grass. Do you think it can even get taste from the meat in terms of what they're
you definitely do. We've experienced it with a lot of our key kind of different producers across Europe. One of my favourite ones is that in Ireland, in our organic egg supplier in County Monaghan, the farmer, the producer, has actually implemented different types of grass. And the chicken actually tastes up to 28 different types of grass, and it just gives such a stronger colour of yolk. So I absolutely believe that has a big impact.
You are what you eat.
Taste. Exactly.
Chef, can I just ask you quickly, because we can hear the sizzle on the radio, and of course those who are watching you putting the chicken into this pan. Oh my goodness, I just got the spice. Oh. What oil are you using? You said before you're using a high smoke point oil. What are you using and
I
why?
generally try to avoid some of those seed oils.
Yeah.
Just because as they heat up and you cook it over a long time, you're breaking them down and you're ingesting a lot of these radical chemicals that aren't as good for you. So just here, we're just using some of the coconut oil. Not only is it better for you, but it just gives you beautiful flavor.
You can really smell it as well.
Really smell it. Guys, I wish you could smell what's going on. Would you mind just recapping the spices that we put onto this chicken?
Yeah, so we just toss it with a little bit of coriander, cumin, chili powder, paprika, turmeric, a little bit of Madras curry, salt and pepper. And again, if you have some little ones who aren't into spice, then just avoid it. If your kids grew up eating it and they love it, put it on. Put as much as you can.
I said before, my kind of spice comfort level is most often described as white girl spicy. And they kind of look at me in the restaurants and go, mild for you. My daughter is an absolute maniac for spice. And it's only a recent thing. She's 9. She's loving ramen.
Wow.
We go to Wokio quite a lot. She has the Korean chicken there. And it's like trying to keep everybody happy in the family. Your son Bodhi's how old now?
He's 5.
He's 5, okay. And what's his spice tolerance like?
It's growing. I think as parents, it's more about exposure.
Yeah.
Whether or not they like it or not, I think that'll grow on them as they evolve and their palates change and open up. But it's our job to continue to expose them. So even if the first time they don't like it, again.
And it's very easy to go, they don't like it, we're never going to try that again. Because it's emotive. It's rejection sometimes.
I'm really glad to hear that. There's hope.
Tell us a little bit about your family setup on the spice front.
I've got a 3 and a 5-year-old, likewise. And one of the first holidays we took them on to was India. And we had 2 fantastic chefs cooking for us. And unfortunately...
Cooking fries?
Oh, yeah, it was fries with rice and pineapple. Unfortunately, it was just a little bit too much flavour, but yes.
Perseverance.
Exposure, yes.
I mean, what about your own spice level?
Oh, I like to think I can take spice, but I definitely can.
Self-aware enough.
Yeah, definitely mild for me as well.
So, Paul, with this chicken, I saw before when you saw the whole bird downstairs, it had quite a yellow colour to it.
Yes.
Can you explain why that is?
So yeah, that's our free range variety of chicken, and that is what we call a corn-fed chicken.
Right.
And that corn-fed diet, so it's fed exclusively on corn, and it gives it that real deep, rich yellow colour, and it allows it to really create a succulent flavour, and it's almost a certain taste profile as well that it gives off, and it just leads to a really different but beautiful eat.
Tell us a little bit then about your travels over the last year or so, because you and the team do go out and, whether that is with, you've spoken to Neil before from the produce and he's going to Scotland and trying strawberries and asparagus. And what about you guys in fresh?
Yeah, so in the last year or so, we've managed to travel across to our one of our key beef producers, Stanbrook in Australia.
Did you have a cowboy experience?
I would have liked more of a cowboy experience. I didn't get on a horse and put a hat on, unfortunately. But no, we visited the outback in Australia. We saw where the grass-fed cattle are raised, and it's just an amazing experience.
Oh, and what about cheese? Are you still looking at
cheese? Yes, cheese for sure. That
was my payday treat.
What
I treated myself to some cranberry, the Wensleydale.
Oh, Wensleydale cranberry, yeah. That's very safe. Come on, I need you to go breed them over truffles.
After the show today, we'll go down and you can push the boundaries of your favourites. What are your current favourites then?
Oh, the brie de meaux with truffles is spectacular.
We love it.
Yeah,
that's a great treat.
Yeah,
that is true. That's a good one.
Payday treat.
I'm just glad you moved on from calling me Mr. Cheese. That's what I usually get from you, Helen.
It's about 2 years of calling you Mr. Cheese.
But yes, we went to France last year. Great experience. Went to Rungis Market. And we actually went up to Normandy to visit a Camembert supplier, and it was amazing. They showed us Camembert made in an industrial format, and then they showed us what they call the PDO, the designated
the product destination origin,
and it's just made in a more traditional method, and the taste difference was incredible.
Really? And even though it's come from the same area,
it's the same milk, everything, but just produced in different methods. So what we actually did was we brought that Camembert back, and we actually did a taste test with our customers to say, like, this is your industrial, perfectly good Camembert, solid everyday Camembert, but this is your PDO Camembert, and the taste difference was phenomenal.
What's the price difference like?
Oh, I mean, it's probably like 25-30% extra.
Okay.
But I mean,
that sounds all right.
Definitely worthwhile,
It's well worth it.
Yeah.
And do you have much cheese on the menu, Richard?
So funny enough, because I grew up in Toronto, we're next to Montreal, and we're blessed growing up with eating a lot of French cheeses. And moving to Dubai, my whole thing was I was expecting, because there's so many expats here, that'd be a huge kind of cheese following.
Cheese following.
Yeah, because it's something we grew up with. It's everywhere, right? It's a very big part. Like, it's our natural meal, right? Like, we have it for snacks. We have it after our main course, and for dessert. So here, it was shocked in the beginning it was so hard to find such good cheese. And now we know where to get it.
Now, I've got to say, now you've got a hookup for the amazing truffle cheese.
Yeah, we can go down and grab some.
So, Paul, if we're going to be in Spinneys over the weekend, shopping fresh, what things are you putting in our basket? What are some of your current favourites you're excited to have customers access?
One of my key favourites right now is we launched recently our Greek yogurt, our authentic Greek yogurt, I may add, under the Spinneys food brand, and that. You talked about indulgences earlier. Yeah. My indulgence over the weekend. During the week, it's Greek style. When it comes to the weekend, it's absolutely Greek.
100%.
I could feast on that all day.
With what?
Just very simply, with some fantastic Spinneys food, strawberries, berries. And I actually found this ginger honey recently.
Ooh,
and I'm obsessed.
A little drizzle of that.
Yeah. With some nuts. I mean, that's my weekend treat.
Paul, thank you so much for joining us. Get back to your desk or probably downstairs to go and buy me some cheese.
Thank you very much.
The category manager of Fresh. It is Afternoons with me, Helen, Farmer's Kitchen. You are listening on the radio, and loads of you watching online too. We are live on YouTube, so do head on over there. Tell me in the comments, what is your supermarket payday treat? And you can be winning all of the amazing ingredients that Chef Kelvin is using today to make not one, not two, but 3 dishes. Really excited to have you with us. Heading over the headlines for those of you listening on the radio, and then we're going to come back and keep on cooking. So, Chef, our chicken is out of the pot and in a different pot. Tell us about what you put in this casserole.
So what I'm going to do is I've seared the chicken off just to seal in those juices. You want to caramelize the skin, and you get all those natural sugars coming, and that's the flavor, right? And you'll see here, if you can see at the bottom of the pan, there's a lot leftover coconut oil, as well as some of that beautiful chicken fat that's come out. So in this is where we're going to build our flavors. So here, I'm going to start building our curry base.
Are we going to have a creamy curry today?
So today we are. And again, please feel free to use, add, change, whatever you like. In our family, this is kind of how we liked it. So this is what we're going to finish it with. Okay, so just a little bit of onion, garlic, ginger.
Thank you for pre-chopping things. Much appreciated.
Think ahead.
Appreciated.
And we're going to sweat those out, give it a couple of minutes to kind of really cook down and kind of absorb that chicken fat and get those natural sugars back out. One cool trick that my mom used to do was she used to just save some coconut water. And because it's going to be a coconut style curry, this is what we use to deglaze the pan. So you'll see like those golden brown bits. Those are the magic, and that's where like that extra umami and flavor comes in. So I always like to keep that around, and we'll just scrape the bottom to get all that beautiful fond off the bottom, and that's the build of your sauce.
This looks amazing. How many people do you think this would feed?
So I think I doubled the recipe that we're going to give you.
So we're going to feed the crew.
We can feed everybody. It's always nice to feed everyone.
It smells amazing. Our broth is brothing. Let me just stick my head in quickly here and have a look.
So those are all our scraps. Our chicken is, I think, ready now. And this is where we're going to add the chicken bones that I've roasted off. If you want to take a quick peek at that.
Yeah, let's have a look. Beautiful, as you said, brown, crispy skin. And I can't believe that's been in the air fryer, actually, because it looks like it's been deep fried almost. It's got that texture on the top.
And I'm sure everyone has seen, I looked at it once, and that's it. Like, I didn't have to do anything. Like, so if you have calls, if you have work, if you want to go out downstairs and play with the kid for a little bit,
just let it do its thing.
It's done.
And just remind us, we've kept the salt to a minimum, but have we got any spices on there? We had some...
Today, I kept it absolutely plain. That's how we usually do it. But if it's for you and your partner and for adults, and you like to have a kick to it, feel free to add whatever you want.
I think we've got some very hungry crew members who are going to be disappointed that this chicken is not for you guys. This is going to be going into our broth pot. So this is our second batch of chicken curry.
Yeah, so normally I would do it in one pan because who wants to wash all that? I just sped it up so that you're not standing around watching me sear chicken. So I did it in 2 separate pans. But normally we would just do it in the same pan.
And then let's have a look now at how the deglazed pan is really kind of starting to form the basis of the sauce, because this smells amazing. We had really finely chopped onion and garlic in there. It's coconut water, Chef?
Yes.
Coconut water, picking up some of the coconut oil on the bottom of the pan. It smells insanely good. Did I see some coconut milk powder knocking around as well?
Yes.
Is that what we're going to be using later?
So this is kind of a treat that you can use. A lot of these curry recipes, depending on where you're from, will be finished with either peanut or cashew. These add a much stronger richness and viscosity to it.
What's going in here?
So this is something, normally we keep batches of curry paste in the restaurant because we make a monster batch of it. But if you're in a bind and you don't have time to take 40 ingredients to toast and grind slowly, this paste works beautifully. So feel free just to grab this, and it works just as well. Thai
red curry. Now, I love food. I'm not a great cook, but one thing that I really do back myself on, I do a really good butternut squash and sweet potato Thai soup.
Amazing.
And use a lot of this as the base, but also some like fish sauce and chicken stock, and freeze it. And then sometimes would have it with chicken as like a base. And
exactly.
It's become a bit of a party trick, I have to say. So carrots going into our beautiful curry sauce.
Yes.
What's this?
So these are just some potatoes. Again, feel free to use what your family likes. If they like celery, if they like mushrooms, if they like bell peppers.
Eggplant, whatever.
Anything works. If you want to keep it veg and just use a mix of vegetables, feel free to use that. I like to use carrots for one because it adds a natural sweetness to the curry. The potatoes release starch into it, which will help naturally thicken that.
Have you done anything to the carrots and the potatoes before this? They've just been chopped. They haven't been parboiled or anything.
Absolutely nothing. And then whatever odds and ends, if you're trying to keep it looking pretty, just toss that into your pot.
Okay. So we've got our chicken ready. Our veggies have just gone into the sauce. We're about to come back onto the radio, so we'll have a little recap of what we've been doing there. But for those of you on YouTube, get into the comments, tell us your supermarket payday treat, and you could be winning all of these beautiful ingredients from Spinneys. It smells so good, Chef.
Super simple and
Right,
super
I'm
easy.
in my happy place now. Right, we're coming back on Dubai I-103.8. Helen with you through until 5 o'clock today, but until 3 o'clock, we are on YouTube. So head on over to the Dubai I-103.8 YouTube channel. You'll be able to see me and Chef Kelvin Cheung's cooking. I say cooking, I'm standing around assisting, smelling, hopefully tasting later, as we make his mum's Sunday chicken curry. We've just been, actually right now, getting the chicken out of the air fryer. This is going to be going into the super pot to turn into a beautiful broth. And we're also going to be showing a few more tips and tricks as well. So if you are just listening on the radio, I would say head over to our YouTube channel. It's even easier if you go to our Instagram account. There's a link right there. You can directly head to that. And you can win all of the ingredients that we're using today. So spices and chicken and oils, some amazing cupboard essentials. So Chef Kelvin, we've just got the chicken out of the air fryer. And it's, I have to say, you can just see the crispy texture. Do you know what? Let's have a look.
Look how juicy that is.
So juicy.
And we did nothing. And feel the skin, nice and crispy and delicious. Exactly how you want it.
Can you just cut through it so we can hear it?
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
Hear that? Hear that juice? And we did nothing to this. You can literally go to the store, buy it, go back home. As you're prepping all your other vegetables, do the chicken first, pop in the air fryer. Then as you're washing and cleaning your vegetables, what we do is we'll throw the vegetables straight into the air fryer after we've cooked the chicken. That way it'll cook into that chicken fat that's released below, and you have dinner.
Oh, right, Chef. So we are going to be chopping up some of this chicken, and it's going to be going into our pot. So in the pot right now, we've got some of the scraps from earlier. So we should just say, on the chicken curry front, we've just put some potatoes and some carrots in with this beautiful sauce, Thai red curry paste, freshly chopped onion and garlic, bit of coconut water to deglaze the pan. So that's doing its thing. But with the carrots, the tops and tails, some washed peelings as well are in the NutriCook to make our broth. Are you having some sickness in your home right now, or is the broth warding away all the nastiness?
I think naturally it gives you a nice strong antibody boost. So I think it's one of the secrets to kind of our Chinese culture, where we always magically have broths with every meal. And it really strengthens and boosts your immunity. So
with this broth, I said to you earlier, my daughter's obsessed with ramen. So we could definitely do cook noodles in this. My other daughter hates meat. So what I've started doing now is cooking things like rice and pasta in bone broth. So at least she's getting a bit of, I guess, protein and goodness there. Tell us a little bit about cooking for kids. Bodhi's 5 and has become a bit of an inspiration. I've said to you repeatedly, I'd quite like to be adopted by you after seeing his lunch boxes. They're amazing. What are some things that he might have at school?
So I think with Bodhi, our focus for his meals and his lunch boxes, for us, it was a natural, almost safety blanket. For kids, the littles approaching and going into big schools, it's a huge step. Yeah. They're in a foreign area, they're with foreign people, and seeing foods that they recognize and gravitate towards, it's almost a comfort factor.
Absolutely.
So it's very important to include these things as part of their day-to-day kind of
touch
life
points
in school. Exactly. Yeah. And for him, he has some things that he naturally gravitates towards as a 5-year-old, obviously. I'll get a message from Andrea saying there's been a request for some salmon sushi or some tuna nigiri.
I genuinely didn't have sushi until I was 25, not 5.
Yeah, a couple times a week he'll have some sushi.
Love it.
He'll have anything from oats cooked in bone broth or fried rice that we've cooked in bone broth, pasta. But we try to keep a variety, and we try to keep hints and things that he recognizes that he'll automatically say, okay, I knew that's yummy.
And then you can build on that with unfamiliar
exactly.
stuff.
And that's kind of how we kind of keep exposing.
It's interesting because when I went to school, we had school dinners, which, no disrespect to my British compatriots, were terrible, like really, really disgusting. From in kind of early years, it was things like mince and tinned vegetables and smash. I'm not even joking, smashed mashed potatoes that would be served with an ice cream scoop. And I remember cutting the top off the scoop of the potato and hiding the peas inside and then putting the top of the potato back on again, smoothing it down. But what was good about these kind of meals is that when you were eating with a knife and fork, so you kind of learnt those skills when you were 5, 6, 7. And then we were also eating the same thing. You know, they kind of had this communal feel. And if you didn't eat it, you weren't hungry. And then when we got to high school, I mean, the wheels just came off. it was chips and cheese and gravy and pizza that Italians would weep at the sight of it because it was about 3 inches thick and had never seen a real real tomato or real cheese. And now I feel like it's so hard feeding our kids. Like, it can be such an emotive thing. I think anyone who's spent the money and spent the time to create something that they really, really hope their kid's going to love, and then the mouth jams closed and it's yucky, and the food goes. Our dog gained 3 kilos when I started weaning my kids because so much food went on the floor. It's a really, really hard one to try and navigate. And I think what you guys do an amazing job of is just keeping it exciting and keeping it experimental. And as you said earlier, just kind of persisting with, if they do say no, don't close off, oh, they don't like chicken, we're never going to offer them chicken ever again.
So that's one of the things, I think, the biggest hurdles as parents and new parents, young parents, that we kind of throw on ourselves.
Yeah.
You'll slave over this kind of beautiful meal that you think is super nutritious and they're going to absolutely love. And obviously, most of the time, they're not going to like it.
No.
I think it's because we also forget that they're at the age now where their program is to test, explore, and challenge.
Absolutely. And sometimes food can be a way of kind of asserting themselves.
That's all it is. It's not a matter of whether or not your food was good, whether or not it was right for them. This is at the stage that they're at, and we kind of have to be okay with it.
And walk beside them on it. So, Chef, you are removing the bones from this air fried chicken. Those are going into the pot. Can I ask you a little bit about the NutriCook pot? Because I've had some gadgets in my time in the kitchen, and I never feel like I'm using them right. I don't feel like I'm ever doing them justice, apart from the air fryer, which I love. Do you have one of these in the kitchen at Jim's, and do you have one at home as well? Or why do you like it?
We actually have several of these in the restaurant.
Really?
For things like pressure cooking, slow cooking. I feel like these also have a lot more control. So for me, if I'm doing, for example, some of our sauce work, we'll set some bones and whatever. And because we want it super controlled, I don't want it to be boiling at a super hard rate. I want it at a very exact temperature. Also, the pressure cooking helps with a lot of our lentils and beans and such.
Interesting.
So it's a very useful tool, both at home and at work.
Is there anything that you've bought or someone has sent to you and said, oh, Chef, you're going to love this bit of kit, and you've just gone, this is just not for me, I'm never going to actually use this?
So one of the things that I know a lot of people use at their house, but we don't, only because it's just what my kid likes at the moment. People swear by having like a really high-powered Vitamix or a blender and such.
NutriBullet kind of thing.
Because it works well for soups. It works well if you're making smoothies and such. My kid just wants plain broth. And he's
so I have a NutriBullet that I do use quite a lot because I recently realized that I'm iron deficient. And a big part of that is I crave ice. Like, I love ice.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I just had an iron infusion last week to try and it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of... So I have like an ice smoothie every single day. So I use it for that. And then, come the weekend, you use it for other drinks as well. Very, very useful. What we've bought some things. I think everyone has like the bread maker. That was the kind of the wedding gift of 20 years ago. Yeah. Never happens. The ice cream maker. We bought a pancake maker a while ago. So it's like a griddle pan, and it just has kind of 4 circles, and it's awesome. Chef, just let's have a quick catch up on our curry, because we've got this lovely base sauce that's been cooking away with the potatoes, with the carrots. The chicken's gone back in now. Where are we at?
So now, we're just going to top it with a little bit of our bone broth or chicken stock. Feel free to use whatever's handy. If you're making a vegetarian curry, feel free to use vegetable stock. For us, we always have the stock around the kitchen. We also have it at home. So I like to finish with that, because as it reduced down, not only are you getting that beautiful chicken flavor, more nutrients, delicious, tasty, easy way to do it.
Amazing. So back to our broth. Can I ask you about spices, ginger, anything else that you might put in there?
So what I'll do is we do a lot of these Chinese broths, which are a huge part of our culture. We have a saying in Chinese that every meal, we call it Sam Song Yat Tong. So it's always 3 dishes plus a soup. Right. And that was always the balance that we have in our households for our meals. So generally it would be a vegetable or 2, and then 1 protein. And that's what would be the 3 main dishes. And then, of course, from there, then you have the soup. And for the soup, it's always some sort of bone broth. Chinese soups are always a combination of bone broths with specific vegetables that have a direct impact on your body's energies and flows. So depending on the season, depending on the time of the year, we would do different kinds of soups to kind of aid those ailments and such.
So that could be like a temperature thing. It could be
fully.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I'm completely ignorant to this. We're going to get the traffic in just a few minutes. Chef, we've just put the lid on the pot. So this curry is going to kind of hang out in here for how long?
So what you've seen was what I did was I built the curry base. As the curry base cooked out, I added our root vegetables. Generally, when you have root vegetables or tubers, things that take a lot more time to cook, I put those in first for a good 5, 6, 7 minutes. Let them cook probably about 40, 50%. It will not be finished all the way. And then afterwards, I'll add or whatever protein in afterwards and let that finish cooking fully.
I wish you could smell what's happening here in the kitchens at Spinneys. I'm Helen Farmer, Chef Kelvin with us today. We're going to be heading over to our bone broth in just a few minutes, but for those who are listening on Dubai I-103.8, here is Milani with your traffic. So Chef, let's get back to this pot. What's happening?
So right now, our bones have gone in, our odds and ends have gone in.
Can I sneak a bit of chicken skin?
Yeah, of course. I'll generally set this on high pressure to let it get really, really cooked down. And then at the end of the night, before we go to bed, I set it on slow cook so that overnight it'll continue to cook but not boil overly harsh.
Wow.
And then throughout the week, so for example, if I start this on a Sunday, by Tuesday or Wednesday, I would have finished whatever pulled chicken that we had, because that's my kind of go-to meat snack now that I have in the household. I would roast off more chickens, and then as we go, I'll just open up the pot, toss some more bones in there, and then
keep it going.
Keep it going.
So it's almost like a starter, isn't it, on the bread?
Yeah.
So how are things going at the restaurant?
Very well. We've been very blessed. Thanks to all of you who continually support us. These are brand ambassadors who help spread the word. It's we've been very lucky, I think.
Tell us about the decision to come to Dubai initially. When did Dubai get onto your radar?
So we've been scouting Dubai for almost now. It's been almost 9-10 years ago, with various companies wanting to expand and explore the region. It just never happened until 3 years ago. My current partner messaged and she was like, "You interested in coming to Dubai?"
Where were you before?
So I was in India for about 10.5 years, but when my partner messaged me, we were back in the US, and I was exploring some opportunities. And the moment she asked about Dubai, it
felt like
just,
the right time.
It clicked.
Well, it's not just the right time; it's the right location as well.
Yeah.
Tell us about that downtown spot and what makes it so special.
So downtown, we were one of the first to have a fully licensed operation. Also, the type of service and food that we're doing, we're very different from the rest of the market there. I think what we're trying to do is we offer a very approachable, kind of relaxed sort of environment where you're still getting amazing high-end service, but great quality food, interesting food that you crave and always want. And even the style of food, right? It's very different.
The craveability factor.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what's on the menu right now, some of the current hits.
I mean, if you do come, we do offer a daily tasting menu, which again, I designed so that there's some amazing chefs out there. All my good friends like Himanshu and Gregor, these guys are doing these amazing fine dining tasting meals. But I wanted to do something where it wasn't an occasion. Yeah. It's not somewhere that you go every 6 months or I see you once a year.
You went twice a week, part of the fabric of the community,
exactly.
Right?
It's like a go-to, almost like once you're hungry, if you want food, then they think of me first. Because our tasting menu, it's 11 courses, you're done in an hour and a half, 2 hours.
And what's on it? Can you give us a little highlight?
Yeah. So it's like almost this is our greatest hits kind of menu. So we have pani puri, which is a very interesting twist on Indian street food. And then you move along my whole journey where you have kind of our June's version of dim sum. You go on with things that my mother used to cook for us, my dad cooked for us. And then, of course, fun desserts as always.
Oh, my goodness. The fun desserts. The cakes. The cakes are unbelievable. So what do your family think now? Like on reflection,
I think they realize now that it may have been the correct decision for me. Of course, obviously, you still hear when you go visit at family reunions and whatever, there's always the murmurs, oh, look at Dr. whoever's son, or whatever, right? And I'm like, we're good. Like we're happy. Doing something that I love. We're in a place where people have embraced the food that I cook. My family is happy, healthy. We're doing something pretty cool out here.
You're doing something very cool. We're about to come back on the radio, but for those of you who are watching, hi, it's great to have you with us. We're here on YouTube, and this is your chance to win all of these amazing ingredients that Chef has been working with today. So head over to the comments and tell us your payday treat. When you're at the supermarket, what goes into the basket when other times of the month you might be a bit reluctant? We are going to be uncovering some dishes in just a few minutes and having a bit of a taste as well, I hope.
Yes.
Okay, chef, and do you know what? This is the biggest battle of willpower ever, not just to sit and pick at this chicken skin.
That's the beautiful part. So for me, since we started the restaurant, I actually have not had the opportunity or time, or use it as an excuse to stay fit and go to the gym and such. So over the last month, I finally kicked off again. I was like, listen, summer's here, the restaurant's going well. Let's kind of dial in and kind of clean up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I keep this roasted chicken in the house at all times.
Oh, Chef Kelvin's with us today, Helen Farmer for Farmer's Kitchen. If you are watching, you will see the amazing chicken that's in front of us. We're here at Spinneys Maidan HQ, and it has been an absolute pleasure from start to finish. We've been hearing about chef's heritage, about the location in Dubai. So for anyone that's just tuned in on the radio, we're talking about your tasting menu there and some of the greatest hits through, you're working in India and through your heritage as well. Is there anything if you took anything off the menu that people would be, protesting outside?
I mean, there's one dish that it was one of the first dishes that we made. It's the carrots. It's kind of been kind of iconic with what we do there. It's taken from the inspiration of our childhood, of how mom used to serve us leftovers from the night before. And we got bullied for it because it was always the smelly, weird food that the immigrant kids would eat.
You were those kids.
We were those kids.
And tell us about how it's evolved now into a dish that you're really proud of.
She started making us Canadian food, and one of the things that we fell in love with was the smoked salmon cream cheese bagel. So I try to capture those flavors in a vegetarian form. So we take carrots that are locally grown in Abu Dhabi for us, and we char it over some olive wood. It's served with some local labneh that we hang and then smoke for 5.5 hours with some mesquite and hickory. So in total, there's 5 different types of smoke on this. And then when you close your eyes and take a bite of this vegetarian carrot dish, it tastes like smoked salmon.
Unbelievable. Really, really is. Chef, we have been asking everyone this afternoon to get in touch and tell us their payday supermarket treats. For you, it's fresh produce. For me, it's frozen berries, maybe a magazine or two. Our winner is who got in touch saying cake and ice cream. Do you know what? I bought some mini magnums this morning. That's going to keep me going through the month. So congratulations, when you have won a hamper of incredible ingredients from Spinneys, everything we've been cooking with today. Our curry's been bubbling, and because the power of YouTube, we actually do have a bit of a here's what I prepared earlier, Chef, I believe. But tell us a little bit about adding in the coconut. Are we going to be adding any cream to this, or
yes.
would that be done later?
So all you got to do is now, we're just going to double check to make sure our chicken and vegetables have cooked through. If everything's been cooked through and the chicken's tender again, this is when we have the opportunity to add our coconut to finish. Okay, so we'll just take a little bit of our coconut cream or coconut milk powder, whatever is readily available for you.
What do you prefer and why?
So depending on what I'm making, if I'm making more of a Malaysian style curry, we'll use coconut cream. Coconut cream has this luscious, rich, kind of velvety kind of texture.
Silky, yeah.
And as you cook it down and reduce it, the oil leaches out of it, and we use that to sear our vegetables up in to build those flavors. But at home, I'm happy to use whatever great organic kind of coconut cream and milk you have. This, again, is something that we do at the restaurant. It takes a little bit more effort. This is fresh coconut that we've blended and kind of made our own. It takes a little bit of effort. You get fresh coconut, and then you have to peel it out and then extract it and peel it and such. So it takes a little bit more work, but I think it yields a much better kind of product.
It looks like foam. It looks like whipped and beautiful.
But again, in your household, it's not about that always. It's kind of just about being able to throw it together.
Feed your family.
Nutritious,
yep.
Easy, affordable,
Chef's folding in this beautiful coconut. I think we've got some rice going ready as well. So I think if we could get some plates, we might have a little bit of a taste. So for people who are curious about the bone broth, you said before that you're always adding to it. From start to finish, how long do you think it could take?
So generally for chicken, as long as it's on there for about 6 to 8 hours, that's already strong enough. We just leave it for overnight, at least a day, to really extract the maximum amount as possible. For you, if you don't have a lot of kitchen counter space, and you can't afford to leave something bubbling away for days and days and days, just throw it on for 6 to 8 hours, and then or right before you go to bed, toss it on,
perfect.
and then morning you're ready to go.
What's going in now?
So here we're just gonna put a splash of the fish sauce, which will give it the salinity, the umami, and kind of round out those flavors. And then we'll give it a quick taste, and then we'll just finish it with some fresh lime juice.
Chef, we're going to be joined very soon by Laura Coughlin, who has quizzed you in the past about some of your favourite places in Dubai. And you said before how well supported you've been by the chef community, by the foodie community. Where do you like to go at the weekend for a date night or a family night?
So for
or a
us,
family lunch, maybe?
we're very simple people. We're not fancy by any means. And for us, we go to kind of our comfort staples. So Bodhi and I, we actually go and get our haircut once a week. It's kind of like our ritual.
I love it.
And right next door, there's an Ethiopian restaurant. And we'll go get our haircuts. And Andrea will go to the Ethiopian restaurant, Zagul, and she'll order the food. And by the time the food comes, we're done and ready to go.
What do you eat?
So we generally have the bayonet, which is their vegetable platter. It's served with injera, which
This is the bread, right?
yeah, that lovely fermented sour kind of bread that they have.
Some plates out for us.
Okay.
Chef, this looks incredible, honestly. Do head over to the YouTube channel, guys, so you can see exactly what we've been making over this last hour with Chef Kelvin. And well done to Wind as well. Don't forget, we are with you through until 5 o'clock on your radio. We're going to be speaking to superstar chef Dabas Munoz about Street Show, which is opened here in Dubai, but also about his background as well. A million followers on Instagram, so I'm kind of curious how social media comes into play as well. We're also going to be talking to Laura Coughlin, so if you've got any dining dilemmas, any questions for her, do reach out. We're also going to be talking about how to improve your relationship with food, so well worth getting in touch through 4001, through the app and through the WhatsApp too. Chef, I think we can have a little dish. Let me... Okay, I'm ready.
Scoop a little bit of rice for yourself.
I will, a little bit. This is lunch. Actually, that's not true. I had lunch at 11:30. So I am. That's perfect for me. Thank you.
Let's grab a little bit of that.
Do you have a curry on the menu then?
We always keep a version of it, and we alternate throughout the year depending on the season. And currently, we do almost a very home-style street curry that you get in India. That's found on the highways and such.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's something that I actually love because it's such a beautiful kind of dish.
Have you been back to India since you moved to Dubai?
No, haven't
Not
had
a
time.
chance yet.
Haven't had time to do anything right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be able to sneak off and do our first family vacation.
Okay, I'm going to have a taste. You're going to tell me, and everyone listening and watching, what should people order from your menu over the weekend? We're going to Jun's for, well, let's start with breakfast because you've become famed for that. What were you eating at breakfast?
So we do have a fun sort of little brunch menu that we do on weekends. Everyone loves the pancakes and French toast, obviously.
Yes, chocolate chip pancakes.
Yeah, they're gluten-free as well, if that helps. But I love chicken.
That does help justify.
But I love chicken and waffles, and we do fresh baked jalapeno cheddar biscuits, which are absolutely delicious. Come by for dinner. Come for the tasting menu. Come for the new menu. The tasting menu will be changing very shortly in August.
And then some cake.
We do have cakes.
It's got amazing cake.
If you're ever in need of a special occasion or just to have cake.
Just listen, you order cake, that's the special occasion. The special occasion is we have cake. Chef Kelvin, just a quick reminder, where can people find you in real life and on social if they want to follow you and eat your incredible food as I am enjoying right now? This chicken is amazing.
You can always find me. My Instagram is Chef Kelvin Cheung, very easy to find. Otherwise, come see me at the restaurant downtown on the Medium Boulevard near Burj Khalifa. Anytime. I'll be at June's restaurant downtown.
Thank you so much, Chef. I would shake your hand, but I've got a fork and a plate, and I'm no disrespect, but I'm not leaving this anytime soon. Chef Kelvin, an absolute pleasure. Thank you all for tuning on YouTube. It's been lovely to have you with us. Thank you for all the questions and comments. And we're live with you on Dubai 103.8 for Farmer's Kitchen until 5 o'clock. See you on the other side of this. Chef, shall we feed some people?
For sure.
Because I can see it's like the heart